Rude. Anyways, we're tapped back in again with my friend Sage. That was rude. But that was rude. Anyways, you guys,
This is like the smartphone interrupting.
it's like just take a stop in your conversation. Rude. It was one of those. Thank you for choosing Marriott hotels. I swear. Don't call my phone. If you ever see this video and you're that lady with the voicemail who is calling from Seattle, stop calling me. I don't appreciate it. That was rude. Anyways, we were talking on the line of advice she had received from a friend, and my friend Sage here she's waking up to the fact that people won't recognize you unless you're doing something completely dehumanizing. To me, I think you're taking away from the fact that you can communicate with people in front of you. You can show another person your art, like when they're right there, or you call them up on any type of phone and just be like, hey, I got this art show going on. Bring your family, bring your friends, come check me out. And nowadays, as an artist, you can't make any sort of a living off of that because it's not seen as, come out, do some donations, do some parties or something like that. Like, you can get somewhere, but it's definitely a lot harder to get your life, comfortable to where you see yourself being comfortable in living and in handling and managing life without putting yourself completely out there by completely isolating the people who are important and going on this social media, going on your phone. And I was going to piggyback off that to just say that I completely agree, and it is sad to some extent. People should be more in tune with a real life interaction than me sitting here and her sitting here while we're talking. You aren't here as well, and it's good that we can, the social media, the internet, help us reach people all over the world. But at the same time, why aren't those people coming together and doing the same things that we're doing here? And the message can pass along without being like this. I don't know. There's a lot of sides to this. You could look at it and say, there's a lot of arguments you could get into, but at the same time, young people, all people, old people, everyone should just be more awake to the fact that if someone's trying to do something, if they're sitting on the corner doing their dance or their music or something, you should show support in that too, rather than they post it, you get a like or two, and you have to get 1,000 likes or something to even make, that doesn't, as humans, we should give each other more credit for the things that we are, we're capable of, bro. You should, if I'm seeing you doing something, I come over, I show you the appreciation and the time it takes for you to practice that, become good at it, and then wanting to share with another person outside of yourself, having the courage, that's all it takes, and when you see people being brave and doing acts outside of themselves, why can't we lift that person up rather than tear them down? Man, it's all with the reasonings, bro. So these are conversations I feel like a lot of people my age should be having, and I'm at the point in my life where it's just if a person can't recognize that, I'm here for bigger things than myself, I'm here to build relationship, I'm here to expand with other people and grow, then use and also use what I have to, help make the group a better person. Then I feel as if that shouldn't, our relationship is just stagnant and it's not worth putting time into, because that's not something I'm looking for, And a lot of people, even older, you talk to them and it's you really have no real goals in life. You have nothing that you want to accomplish and you're comfortable where you're at. And some people have it so vivid, you can just see that right off the bat from them, and it's crazy. It literally trips me out sometimes when I talk to a person and it's dude, I know you already aren't gonna go anywhere based off this conversation, so while you're cool energy, I don't really think we should meet again because our paths are so separate. And you wish them good luck, and at that point, you just gotta recognize in yourself, maybe you're ahead rather than behind, instead of looking at yourself okay, well, I'm behind in a certain skill, or I'm behind in a certain aspect of my life. You could look at yourself and say, okay, well, because I recognize that I have that growth to notice the consistency in another person, and you're a type of person that wants to grow, then maybe I can take that and use it to strengthening myself and say, well, I am ahead of, my age or my time or where I'm at in life. I'm supposed to continue growing and use that to help guide you forward, because when you look back and you realize there's no one growing with you, and at that time you have to look at yourself and then start it. Again, it's crazy. It's literally like, especially the things I think about, it's so crazy when it comes to human interactions. The way we interact is kind of mean. It's messy, and it's selfish. It's rather than selfless. Humans now are becoming very, very selfish, and it's not necessary, because we don't need to live a selfish life, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing, and then it becomes like even more crazy and even more selfish, because the society becomes set up like that, where it's
right.
like everybody's out for themselves. So even if you want to not be like that, then you have to realize, like, but nobody else is
doing what you're doing.
Then
you
all
feel
of a sudden
me?
you have to look out for yourself too, and so it's
so
kind of like
crazy, and it kind of makes you bitter. Like it's like you're training yourself at this point to not be bitter against these things or against these person or against yourself, because it's like at first I wasn't like this, and then the situations I was put in, the people that I was surrounded by, the way I was treated kind of made me, more reserved, or people say you're bitchy, excuse my French, or you're like, okay, well, now I can't tolerate, the small acts of inconsistencies. Like if a person's inconsistent with their, this is personal, if a person's inconsistent with their story after, like, I'm like, yeah, well, at this point I can't really trust you, because I've had experiences in my past before that it led me to think inconsistent stories don't always be good, even if a person could be in a situation that, it's like, hey, I borrowed some money from you today, and I was supposed to get it back to you yesterday, and that didn't happen. I didn't call you. Like, I'm starting to think, well, these people are out to get me. They're out to have some. So it's like, depending on kind of, the situations you get into, the things you have to deal with in the past, then you're shaped, your whole
perception of everything
totally is shaped, man. And thank you for having this conversation with me, because it's so legit, on the point where it's like, I can't be sitting here shaping my perception based off something that happened in the past, because that's me attaching myself to that and claiming that as part of me, and that's not who I am. I knew, like, growing up, like, things morally, like, as a person, I have things that I need to carry with me, and I can't lose that because of a person come into my life and decide that he, is not, or he or she is not as consistent with themselves, and so they can't be consistent with me. And it's crazy. It's literally like a wild thought that I think, like, I have to dig deeper and deeper in, because I'm constantly, like, looking at myself and evaluating myself to the ways of other people and how I can help them make their life better by bringing them into mine. Because if I don't keep my life on a steady pace, then there's no way I can help other people outside of me. So I have to maintain a good life, a good, like, heart, like, way of being before I can say, okay, well, I'm ready to have friends, or I'm ready to have a relationship. And that's why, and like I was explaining to you guys, I don't think I'm anywhere close to having a personal relationship with a person, because I don't know myself. And if I jump into that with a person, I'm gonna lose who I've already, like.
Yeah, how far you've come.
You
you're gonna
me?
get your husband a whole new set of
and it's
problems
like a whole to deal with when I haven't even dealt with myself and the problems that I have. So I just feel like that's an immediate setback right off. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm cool, and it's crazy. But I definitely feel like you always have to give yourself appreciation for the things that you're witnessing, because I heard this from a recent friend the other day that, as humans, the things that we're thinking and feeling, they aren't necessarily us. They aren't like the definition of what you are. Instead, you are a witness to those things. You're witnessing your thoughts. You're witnessing, you can accept those as your thoughts, or accept those, but you have to also give yourself the credit that, like, you get to have these things. You get to have these feelings. You get to feel like, uncertain, but recognize that is uncertainty, and it's not something that is, it use it in the way that it comes. but don't take uncertainty and go out and go get a drink and start drinking if you don't want to drink. That's not something that, when you get into a situation where you're like, okay, well, I hit struggles, I'm at rock bottom, and now what do I do? Don't jump right into the things that felt comfortable before. That's always room for change. That's right there. It's like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to do something different. And a lot of people kind of just get stuck into these comfort zone cycles, I like to call them, where they're like get into their, like, it's like a womb. A womb is warm and nice, and it's like that's where I get nourished, that's where I feel at home. And people go back to those spots where it's like, okay, this is something I'm used to. It makes me feel good, it makes me this, it makes me that. And that's like generational curses like that is what every day I get up, I set out to break, because it's like, dang, like I can do something different in every situation, different every day, because every day brings a different opportunity for change. And it's crazy. No one else I've met in my life so far on my journey have, I think they come like close to being like, okay, you have a good belief, and I kind of, my beliefs and yours have, aligned, but not necessarily like all the way where it's like that's what I'm expecting. Until I find that, I think I'm good. Like I'm really good. You feel me? I'm just like, okay, but I think different. That's the thing. If I go in my last relationship I went into, it was just like I thought completely the opposite of how this dude was.
Oh, really?
It was not the same. We weren't thinking of anything the same, and it was crazy because we realized we were so opposite.
You're on completely different pages about everything.
It was wild, man. It was wild. So now it's like I just take my time, do what I gotta do, and to help, write these things down as they come to me, and as I try to figure out what things I like to do in my life and what things I don't like to do. Also be mindful of how those things can affect another person, because they might be interested in doing something in that manner. So it's like, depending on the people I surround myself with, which is not a lot, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it's good. It's a good way of like, always give yourself credit for the things that you're doing, and if you notice good, then recognize you're good. Also, if you notice you're bad, recognize them, but at the same time, don't dwell on either side of the scope. You feel me? Recognize that there's gray spot, and when it comes down to this life, man, I'm only 20, and I feel like I've lived all of it already. I'm just like, bro, what the heck? Like,
imagine what 40 is gonna be like.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who at 75 years old? Who am I to tell my grandpa right now, who's talking to me, that he can't tell me anything? He has no experience. This man is 75, like, and I'm only 20, and I feel like I've lived a whole like story. And 75 years. Come on now, people. Come on, 75 years of a story, bro. It's crazy. That's a whole half a decade. Oh, I hear a sabia.
It's a crying baby. Oh, there's Fuzzy.
There's who?
Jared.
Oh, peace, love. I'll catch y'all later. Tap in with Queen T, babies.